Yo, what's up guys? Kusanagi doing a short video on Quincy as she just dropped tonight. I did a little bit of testing with her. Let's talk about her kit very quickly. And we'll talk about investments on her for solo raid or just investments in general. So, for Quincy, she is an SMG Burst 3. She's Missilus. For me, she's probably going to replace Maxwell in situations where I don't necessarily need a single target DPS where I want that distributed damage. And so distributed damage is very similar. If you're used to using Dorothy and Eleg, it basically stacks damage across the entire screen. Now, in terms of investments for Quincy, I think it depends on what you're aiming for. I would go 7 for 7 if you're low resource. If you really need this secondary skill 2, you can go 7 on it. My only caution on this is the hit rate value is pretty low. 3 times 5 is effectively uh, 15. It only stacks for about a half a second. And the attack is the same thing. It's a 6% times 5 for half a second. So 6 times 5 is 30. So you effectively get a 30% attack up for half a second. If you're hitting this burst pretty routinely, yes, it will give you damage. But in terms of the hit rate and the attack rate, you could also kind of roll a shitty piece on body armor or on a shoe or a glove and get more hit rate. I mean, you're talking about 3.52 versus times 5 is 15. You could probably get an 11% hit rate somewhere. It's probably not that uncommon that you would end up with that. And the same thing for an attack roll. You could probably get an okay attack roll somewhere. So if you're trying to min max on this, you could effectively consider stopping at 4 if you already got the hit rate somewhere else, or the attack up. But if you are short on rocks or you didn't get really the hit rate or the attack up, but you end up with elementals or ammo, you can bring this up to 7. So I think this is a conditional. It definitely adds a lot of damage to her kit, but it's a do you have the excess skill mats to bring this up to a 7? And why do I say that? Because a 444 Quincy versus a 777 Quincy didn't make a whole lot of difference in testing versus Winter Ludmilla. And so we'll show that real quick here. Like if we wanted to say, hey, we are going to just go with a short example, which is we're going to use Winter Ludmilla, Quincy, and get them both buffed by Crown and Dorothy. Dorothy is going to give an additional buff to Quincy. And where do we end up? Well, for most of these runs, Ludmilla still outpaces Quincy. She still didn't do much more damage. I can just show that here. We'll cut to the end as soon as it's over. But for the most part, Ludmilla is still going to be best in slot for your water DPS. In this case, Winter Ludmilla is still doing better. My Quincy already has a purple doll. Ludmilla only has a blue doll. Ludmilla is obviously OL'd for 000. Quincy only has one OL piece of gear. We'll see if this makes a bigger difference as I get things like attack and Ellie or ammo. But for the most part, when running it on the 3-minute stage, Quincy just doesn't output the damage that Ludmilla does. And if we look at this stage, for example, a good chunk of the data, a good chunk of the damage actually comes from Ludmilla here. Running Amelia, my Amelia is a core 7. I can't really say, hey, she's just super better than Quincy. But because of her investments and where she's at, in this run, she was just slightly better. So I'm not gonna say Amelia is way better. ultimately, even in this team comp, Ludmilla carried this water team. So if you're looking for a unit that's going to replace or supplement Ludmilla, I don't think Quincy's the answer. But if you have no water DPS and you need a water DPS because Helm and normal Privity aren't cutting it, she will do way more than both of them easily. So something just to keep in mind, Solo Raid is coming up. If you're trying to figure out, hey, do I pull for Quincy, save for anniversary? I would say go for at least one copy if you can. If you can get her. If you can't get her, I wouldn't worry about mileaging or anything like that. She's a not a limited unit. She will be on she will be on the normal banner. And with all the tickets we're gonna get for anniversary, you're better off just chilling, right? There's a good chance you put her on the wish list, you're gonna get her. It will likely be the same thing with Phantom, which is there's not really much on the Elysian wish list these days to want for. And so if I go to the wish list here, I mean, it is pretty bare bones at this point. I have most of these MLB. I'm just trying to get cores on them at this point to make them better. My normal made privity, for example, is already core 7. I don't need additional copies. But you know, Phantom will be here, so I will probably kick out Guillotine, probably move these around a little bit, but priority for the most part, yeah. I appreciate you guys that watch these videos and leave comments and like the video. I will catch you guys Friday for some solo raid molding, I guess. We'll do the first attempt on it. I'll probably do a short video on it because I've already found most of the boss behavior as of today, and I'll show a example of like what you should expect on the final boss for challenge stage. Appreciate it, guys. Bye bye.